we will have, enough, whatever that is. Case in point, at 93 years old, Warren Buffett is still working. He has plenty of money, but in terms of the joy in his work, he's not satisfied yet. He hasn't really dialed down his work a few notches. And perhaps dialing down, it won't come to him until maybe he's 95, maybe till he's 100, who knows? And sometimes this dialing down or this shift, it can give us a few years of less intense, but just as joyful life. And sometimes we're not ready to shift, and so we have days left, not just years. Alex Trebek, the host of Jeopardy for like 40 years, he died at 80 years old, only 10 days after filming his last episode. There will always come a point in our work life where we stop eating, at a time where we put the fork down and we say, I've had enough, I'm full. As good as it is, I don't need this anymore. Your cup may run it over. Oreo cookies, I like to talk about Oreo cookies whenever I can. They're my favorite snack. I really like the thick and rich Oreo cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, and I can never finish a whole one in one sitting. And as delicious as it is, as good as it feels to eat it, at some point, I've had enough. My eyes want it, but my body's full, and I have to put down my fork and say, I've had enough. When we all dial down the notches in our work life, it can mean shifting gears into the next phase, into a more lifestyle-friendly type of work. And perhaps right now, you're on your computer most of the day, responding to emails, meeting with clients, reviewing analytics, creating products, classes, services. You love this work. You enjoy it. It pays well. Your schedule's flexible. But you're still working your butt off, right? Yet you enjoy working hard, and it brings you joy and that sense of accomplishment that's priceless. And despite how much you enjoy it, at some point, whether it's a few years you have left or a matter of days, you will probably be compelled to put the fork down and say, you've had enough. This is just a natural progression. Our priorities change. Getting in that extra client used to be a priority, but now you might find that spending more time with your dog, your cats, your kids, or spouse, is more important. That daily 1-hour walk you may have right now, that you get in every day that's so important, you may decide later that you want 2-hour walks a day, 3-hour-long walks a day. So whether something clicks inside of us, changes us, if we put down the fork because we're full of our own accord, or if we have a health issue and something impacts us where we're no longer able to lift up our fork anymore. Whether we choose it or not, at some point, we are likely to experience a dialing down of a few notches, a progression into a new phase. And sometimes we call this dialing down retirement. It brings in all those unflattering connotations about slowing down and not engaging with the world anymore, social isolation. And this is why people who retire are more likely to get sick, die sooner, or just return to work again. We've heard this, we've talked about this before. So we know this. And the way we look at retirement in our culture in the United States, it's very linear. I prefer the Mayan view of time, which is cyclical. Even Mr. Rogers, you know him, the TV host, Presbyterian minister, he's quoted as saying, and I quote, often when you think you're at the end of something, you're at the beginning of something else. I invite you to think about not what retirement will look like, but what will your next move be when you're ready or forced to shift gears into your next cycle, when it's time to recreate your work lifestyle to be even more relaxed, low-key, and peaceful. What will that look like? We may love the daylights out of the work we do now, but would you label it as peaceful? We were each created to produce and contribute good to the world. And once you've achieved that purpose in a particular avenue, how else will you continue to achieve your purpose once things shift and are dialed down a few notches? How will you find meaning and joy in a different, less intense lifestyle?